Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to do an impromptu video. I know a lot of people are excited about this product and I got super lucky because I ordered this yesterday. I paid for the fastest shipping possible and I was expecting it to come on Monday, which I was really frustrated by, but it arrived today. So this is the new e.l.f. Cosmetics Halo Glow Liquid Filter. This is supposed to be a dupe, or people are wondering if it's going to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter that everybody loves. Obviously very pricey. So I have that here. We will be comparing them. I'm going to do comparison swatches, and I think I'm going to do the e.l.f. on one side, the Charlotte Tilbury on the other, and kind of see what we think in terms of if it's a dupe. I'll tell you in terms of like the texture, the feel, all of that. So I will link this down below, as well as every other product that I'm wearing on my face when we complete my makeup. If you're new here, I hope you subscribe. I do a ton of first impressions and just a lot of makeup content. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a huge thumbs up. And I'm gonna stop rambling. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Couple quick side notes before we get into the product. I did just come home from getting my hair done. Literally, I got home and changed, washed my makeup off, and here we are. I do have a little bit of staining from the toner, so if you see just any discoloration or just like weird markings around my hairline, it's just the stain from the toner. It'll come out when I wash my hair a couple times. So just wanted to note that. Also, I do have the AC going. It is hot, like hot, hot. I'm sweating, your girl's sweating. So I got my hair back, the AC on, so I hope it's not too distracting, but I wanna jump into a little bit of information about this product. So e.l.f. just dropped this out of nowhere. This is called the Halo Glow Liquid Filter. It retails for $14. There are 8 shades to choose from, ranging from fair all the way to rich. I grabbed 2 different shades just to use maybe one on the high points and then one all over. I've actually seen people talk about using a deeper shade to bronze, which, you know, I have combo oily skin, so I want to give that sort of disclaimer before we get into this. So the way they describe this is a multi-purpose liquid glow booster infused with skin-loving ingredients to give your complexion a soft focus, social filter effect in real life. It says wear alone, under, or over makeup. You can also mix it with foundation or apply to the high points of your face for targeted illumination. So instantly everybody was saying this is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, which people go crazy about. So I do have that. I've tried it. I am combo oily with texture and pores. So most of the time I would use a product like this only on the high points of my face, but today we're just gonna go for it. I'm really just gonna go there. We're gonna do a really, really dewy look. So in terms of the packaging, they both are glass. That's one thing that I like about the e.l.f. It is glass, so it feels honestly comparable in terms of the weight. It doesn't feel cheap by any means. In the e.l.f. you get 1.06 ounces or 31.5 mils. And then in the Charlotte Tilbury, you get 30 mil or 1 ounce. So basically very similar, a little bit more product in the e.l.f. Another thing to note is the e.l.f. is made in China, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury is made in Italy. And then the shelf life is 6 months on the e.l.f. versus 12 months on the Charlotte Tilbury. It's a pretty big jump, but if this is something that you're using on the daily, I feel like you would go through this in 6 months. In terms of the applicator, each product has a large doe foot. So the Charlotte Tilbury is a little bit smaller in terms of the size of the doe foot, but I will show you a comparison. The e.l.f. is a big daddy doe foot. That's what we like to say. I mean, whoa, it is a big daddy. I mean, the e.l.f. really makes the Charlotte Tilbury look small, just the wand in general, but also, you know, the doe foot is large and in charge on this one, but you're gonna get the same effect of just being able to easily swipe it on and then go on with your makeup. So in the Charlotte Tilbury, I have the shade 3, which is light medium. So I'm just gonna swatch it for you, and I'm going to kind of compare the colors and tell you my thoughts in terms of the feel of them. So the Charlotte Tilbury is not overly emollient. It's a very thin formula, but it doesn't dry down, so it's kind of right in the middle. It gives you hydration, but it's not like oily or greasy. So this is the shade 3. And then I did pick up 2 different shades in the e.l.f. formula. So this first shade is shade 2. Now shade 2 is definitely more of like a yellow toned, whereas 3 from Charlotte Tilbury is definitely more peachy. So you can see that they're very similar in terms of like depth, but this one's more brightening because it has more of that sort of gold yellow undertone, and they classify this one as fair light. This is the second lightest shade for e.l.f. So you can see the difference there. I have to say they feel very similar. Just from touching them, I would say the Charlotte Tilbury feels a little bit more hydrating and the e.l.f. feels a little bit thinner in texture, but it's really gonna be hard to tell until I actually get them on the skin. And then the other shade I got from e.l.f. is shade 3. This is for light medium skin tones. This one has a peachy sort of tint to it. I'm gonna swatch it on this hand because I'm running out of room here. But this one really looks very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury in 3, maybe a little bit more peachy. So now that we've gone over the product information, I wanna start application. So I'm gonna start out with the shade 3 because I feel like it's the most comparable to the Charlotte Tilbury shade I have. And what I'm gonna do is just apply this all over the skin, which is a way that a lot of people like to use it, just like a super glowy base for under their foundation. I'm just gonna warn you, we're gonna be super glowy today because I really wanna test this out. So I'm just gonna start blending this in. You can use your fingers or a brush. So this product is not a tinted moisturizer. It's not something that is meant to give coverage. It has a very sheer tint to it, obviously for the different shades, but it's not something that is going to like even out your skin tone perfectly. If you have perfect model skin, sure. I do not. So this is more of a base to give you that like lit from within sort of look. So this is what the e.l.f. in shade 3 looks like applied just all over as a base. You can see that it just gave me a glow to the skin. It doesn't feel super heavy or tacky. It's not completely dried down, but it's very thin in texture. It does remind me of the Charlotte Tilbury. So I'm gonna go ahead on this side of my face and use the Charlotte Tilbury because I really wanna see how they compare. So I'm just going to apply the same amount on this side, just because I feel like this shade that I have in the Charlotte Tilbury in shade 3 is very similar to the e.l.f. in shade 3. So I went ahead and grabbed a clean brush, just so we don't combine them, even though honestly the product is very similar, just from my first initial just swatches and the way it feels. All right, so we have Charlotte Tilbury on this side, e.l.f. on this side. There's two things I'm noticing. They're very slight, but I'm just gonna be nitpicky. The Charlotte Tilbury is a little bit more texture enhancing. I feel like I can just see my texture a little bit more heavily on the Charlotte Tilbury side, which could mean that it has just a little bit more illumination to it. So that's something that could be good if you really like that super glowy look. If you want something that's a little bit smoothing, I would say the e.l.f. just appears a little bit softer, and you guys can let me know in the comments. I mean, I'm really nitpicking. Another thing I'm noticing, which is very slight, is I feel like the e.l.f. is literally like a pinch more pigmented, meaning that I feel like this side looks a little bit more even than the Charlotte Tilbury. In terms of how they feel identical. Like honestly, this feels like a dupe to me. I cannot really tell a difference. If you gave me two different products in the same packaging and you just told me, oh, they're two different shades, I would be like, that's the same product. Like I can't tell a difference in terms of the way they feel, the way they blend it out. They're just so similar. So the things that I'm nitpicking and telling you that are different about each one, it's just very minute, but I really just wanted to like really go there and see if I'm noticing a difference, but so far, not really. So I'm quickly gonna take a little bit of my e.l.f. Oil Control Primer right next to my nose, just like a tiny bit, and on my chin. And then I wanna go in and start applying a base. So what I'm gonna do is actually mix these with my foundation. I'm gonna be using the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. This is one of my favorites. And I'm gonna mix in a smidge of the NARS Soft Matte, like a smidge. And then what I'm gonna do is take the e.l.f. in shade 3, and I'm just going to swipe some on my hand so that we have sort of like a cocktail of all three using the same brush. And I want to start applying this and see what kind of glow we get. All right, so the e.l.f. side is done. I'm gonna go in with the same mixture on this side, but using the Charlotte Tilbury. But honestly, so far, I'm really not seeing or feeling much of a difference. I mean, it's very, very similar. All right, so we have the Charlotte Tilbury on this side mixed with our base, and then we have the e.l.f. on this side. They look pretty much identical to me. There's really nothing standing out to me, especially now that we've applied our base. They both just look really glowy. They feel pretty much exactly the same. So I'm gonna go in next with my concealer. This is the LYS Triple Fix Concealer. This is a really great option if you have dry under eyes. Now, something I want to test, because I had seen a couple people comment that they did this, is mixing in a little bit of one of these products with your concealer to make it really glowy. So I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. in the shade 2, which is the Fair Light. And I'm going to use like the tiniest amount just to see if it gives a glowy effect. You know, I usually wouldn't do this, but here we are. We're just going for it. Okay, looking at both under eyes, I feel like it did add a little bit of a glow to the skin. It didn't really take away coverage, so it might be something if you have really dry under eyes or you like a really luminous base. But I want to zoom you in, just sort of show you what the skin is looking like. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and do my cream bronzer and blush, and then I wanna use these to try to highlight the face like on top of our foundation. So now that I have my other cream products on, I wanna go in with the e.l.f. in the shade 2, and I want to sort of highlight with it. So I'm just gonna apply it to the tops of my cheekbones, and I'm just gonna blend this out. So I'm just trying to use this as many ways as possible. Obviously, if you're using this as a highlighter, you definitely want a lighter shade than your skin tone. So that is what it looks like. It's really beautiful. I do have to powder my face, but I just want to apply all of this before I powder, and then I'm going to do minimal powder just so I can keep the glow. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this to this side as well, and then the Cupid's bow, just because this is a lighter shade and I really want to use it to highlight. I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury may be too deep. So I'm just going to blend this in. Probably got a little bit too much, so I'm just going to move it over here. I don't know if I've ever been this glowy. This is a lot for me. So this is what the skin looks like with no powder. So if you're someone that doesn't use powder, this is what you can expect. Again, the e.l.f. here, the Charlotte Tilbury here. Really same things that I noticed before, but honestly, they look very similar to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and set just my T-zone because your girl has to. I usually am like a heavy baking type of gal, but I'm gonna use very minimal powder. So I'm gonna be using the one size powder with a brush, and I just wanna set, you know, under my eyes where I get creasing and my T-zone. So right in here, just do a little bit on the chin, and then right here where I get oily. So I'm quickly gonna go off camera, finish the rest of my makeup, and then we will talk about my initial first impression and my final thoughts. Okay, so I finished my makeup off camera. I will link everything that I'm wearing down below in my description box. But in terms of my final thoughts, do I think the e.l.f. is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury? It is 100% a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury, which is great for those of you that love this product or want to try it but you don't want to spend the money. These are so incredibly close in pretty much every aspect. This is 100% a dupe and they did it well. I did feel like the Charlotte Tilbury was a smidge more highlighty, more illuminating, and the e.l.f. was a smidge more pigmented in terms of the actual color. So I feel like the e.l.f. evened out my skin tone a little bit better, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury gave me a little bit more of that really like illuminated look. I don't want to say Tin Man, but just very highlighted look. But honestly, I'm really nitpicking here. You guys can tell me down below if you noticed any of those differences. Overall, the texture is just basically the same. The packaging is basically the same. Save yourself the money and get the e.l.f. I mean, the packaging, just everything about it, they knocked it out of the park with this. I gotta give, you know, credit where credit is due. This is a bomb dupe. I feel like this is gonna sell out. People are gonna go crazy. So that is my initial first impression. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do let me know down below if you pick this up, if you're going to pick it up, or if you're going to stay true to the Charlotte Tilbury. Also, let me know what you think in terms of how they compared when I applied them. I would love to get your feedback down below. So as I said before, I will link all the products, including the e.l.f. and the Charlotte Tilbury, in my description box. If you're new here, I hope you stick around and subscribe, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.